long time ago, from unknown islands in South Pacific seas, migrating Vikings of the sunrise, the mighty Maori people, sailed their great canoes across the ocean to a new land, Aotearoa. Then, little more than a century ago, from islands in cold northern seas, came the first European migration to the land we now call New Zealand. Among these pioneers were the Canterbury Pilgrims, who in 1873 established the University of Canterbury. Today, in Quadrangle and Cloister, young New Zealanders are often reminded of Canterbury's long association with the ancient universities of Britain. Yet while acknowledging British traditions of scholarship, over the years Canterbury has evolved a character of its own, reflecting in its architecture and academic thought the distinctive climate of life in New Zealand. The university is now on the threshold of a £6 million extension programme, and by 1970 virtually a new Canterbury University of 6- and 8-storey buildings will stand on a well-planted campus of 160 acres, about 3 miles from the centre of Christchurch city, with halls of residence in a setting of playing fields and open parkland. The science complex will form an architectural focus for a modern university, designed, staffed and equipped to meet the exciting challenge of serving a young and growing community in the years ahead. Each generation of New Zealanders sees a new advance in the speed of travel across the mountains and better communication with our neighbours overseas. Christchurch International Airport is less than 20 hours flying time from Hawaii or Malaysia, Hong Kong or North America. Travellers arrive here only 4 hours after leaving Australia.
147. He's called the MAC traffic counter. Mrs. Gower, Mrs. Jackson, Mr. Pierce, and Mr.
In little more than a day and a night from Britain, you can land in a South Pacific country of mountain, lake, forest and farmland. About the same size as the United Kingdom, New Zealand is the home of 2.5 million people. About half our population is under 21 years of age. 1 New Zealander in every 16 is of the Maori race. The majority are descendants of early settlers from Britain who prepared the ground for the agricultural economy of present-day New Zealand. We balance our budget as a nation mainly by grassland farming and the large-scale export of primary produce to markets all over the world. Thousands of tons of meat, butter, cheese and wool are carried overseas in ships of many nations from the port of Lyttelton, where the Canterbury Pilgrims built their first homes on the hillsides just over a century ago. Over the Port Hills, the cathedral city they founded in 1850 and named after Christchurch College, Oxford, now covers more than 60 square miles of the Canterbury Plains, between the Southern Alps and the Pacific Ocean. Christchurch today is the industrial and commercial centre of Canterbury Province, with a population approaching 250,000 and all the services of a modern city. The spirit and substance of Christchurch grew out of the surrounding farmlands. The city still reflects the pastoral nature of the province it serves, and offices, shops, hotels and theatres, the habitations of industry and commerce, the cathedral in the square, have all grown up in company with English trees, planted by early settlers in 2,000 acres of open parks and playing fields. Oxford Terrace, the statue of Scott of the Antarctic, Cambridge Terrace and the Avon River, the bridges, Armagh, Gloucester, Worcester, Hereford, all echo Britain in the South Pacific, close to the heart of a fast-growing city. The seeds of New Zealand university education were planted in a regional pattern about 100 years ago. When elm and sycamore, stone tower and pinnacle began to rise into the Canterbury sky, the provinces of Auckland, Wellington and Otago also established universities to serve their own growing communities. So today, it's from the north and centre of the South Island that Canterbury draws most of its 4,000 students, although some of them come from other parts of New Zealand, the Colombo Plan countries and islands of the South Pacific.
Kan balik lagi ke library dan belajar sedikit kerja di sana.
At present, there are 6 faculties: arts, science, engineering, commerce, law, and music and fine arts.
The rudiments don't.
As in most universities, a good deal of the students' working life is spent in the central library. Canterbury's present holding of 160,000 volumes is likely to double within the next few years. And in this age of microfilm and swift air transport, staff and students also have access to the resources of great archives and libraries overseas. Canterbury also has some valuable collections of its own. Among them is the Macmillan Brown collection of some 15,000 books and journals on the Pacific area, a region of particular interest to New Zealand students. In the Department of Geography, the field of study is worldwide. The starting point is the province of Canterbury.
2 channels running along the flank of the Big Ben range. You pick up trig G on the map over here and follow it down as far as the Dryakaron stream.
Laboratory studies, maps and air photographs are often brought to life by survey trips into the back country of Canterbury. Early in their academic lives, students have many opportunities to survey the living scene and the living story, and to plan their own course of study. Education is where they find it, on a Canterbury hillside gaining knowledge of the physical structure of the land, or on the learner's slopes of the lecture room, in company with students of other nations, studying the broader and deeper issues of world economics.
All right, well now, this schematic view of the productive process, this microeconomic view, words which you might keep in mind, which illustrate this whole thing, are the word allocation. That is, how our resources are cut up. Value, the determination of prices.
In a crowded lecture room or at a Faculty of Law tutorial, throughout the university, there's the same constant awareness of problems to be solved, of propositions to be stated and critically examined.
The House of Representatives or with a referendum. What then should the courts take to be the effect of a supposed act, say, altering the definition of Maori for the purposes of the Electoral Acts, which has not been passed by the necessary 3/4 majority?
In law, as in other disciplines, university studies encourage the testing of fact against fact, opinion against opinion.
In Section 189, Harrison, the Minister of Interior, is authority for that.
Well, sir, I'm not so sure about that. I think the authority is perhaps a bit thin. In the New Zealand case of...
Vital questions affecting the individual and the state, and the wider aspects of international relations. all provide subjects for discussion, debate, definition.
We must mean something by the word power. Could anyone suggest a definition?
Well, would you say that it was the use of superior strength by a will to subordinate another will, so that power would mean...
From considerations of power in political relations to studies of other forms of power in the physical sciences, always the aim is the development of critical and creative thought, the controlled and educated spirit of restless inquiry that led Ernest Rutherford from these laboratories to the new horizons of the atomic age.
Dr. Thompson, we just completed the X-ray analysis of 1,8-dimethyl naphthalene.
Oh, good. Let's have a look at it.
The methyl
In strong postgraduate schools of chemistry and physics, apparatus such as the liquid helium cryostat is used to explore special areas of study. And experimental rigs of all kinds, simple and sophisticated, are built by the students themselves. Where complicated problems are involved, the digital computer is put to work, a time-saving aid to education and research in all departments of the university. At outlying field stations, staff and students work on a variety of research projects, ranging from geophysics and the mysteries of the upper atmosphere to marine life in Antarctica. The university has established a laboratory at Cape Royds in New Zealand's Antarctic dependency, where seals and penguins provide lively source material for teaching and research. This first-hand experience of Antarctic marine biology is of particular value to members of the zoology department staff in the communication of fact, opinion and observation from a distant continent.
Well, this is the skull of one of the Antarctic seals. You'll notice, first of all, the very large canine teeth. You'll notice how the whole of the nose is shaped to take the root of that very large tooth.
100 miles from Christchurch, on the coast, the university also has a field station near the Kaikoura Reef for the study of organisms belonging to the life of cold and warm water shores. "80 miles inland is the Mountain Biological Field Station, a year-round base for geological and botanical studies in the foothills of the Southern Alps. Much of this work is related to the preservation of natural resources, such as the subalpine plant cover and native grasses that feed millions of sheep on high country farms. University and government scientists often cooperate on research projects, especially in agriculture. At the Government Crop Research Station and at Lincoln College, University of Canterbury, the improvement of pasture grasses and plants forms part of a wide range of research work on New Zealand's most valuable raw materials. Subjects as diverse as radioisotopic tracer work, animal husbandry, crops and pastures are studied at the college and discussed at open field days, where the practical farmer and the agricultural scientist benefit in many ways by meeting on common ground.
In contrast to overseas results, where up to the present they haven't been able to control.
For more than 80 years, Lincoln College has been making notable contributions to the development of New Zealand's primary industries. One of its main functions is to prepare students for the degrees of Bachelor of Agriculture and Bachelor and Master of Agricultural Science. Lincoln is a constituent college of the University of Canterbury, and here, as in the city, the number of students increases year by year. New Zealand has one of the highest rates of population growth in the world, and the national policy is to admit to university everyone who is able and willing to profit by higher education. Now the city precincts have become overcrowded after almost a century of development, and the university is in the process of migrating stage by stage to a new site of 160 acres, 3 miles away. The move should be completed by 1970, as faculty buildings are occupied in a planned sequence. Construction of the science complex is well advanced. The School of Engineering is already established in its new surroundings. At this school, most of the 700 students are working for the degree of Bachelor of Engineering, and an increasing proportion is studying for higher degrees. There are 4 main departments offering degree courses in mechanical, electrical, chemical and civil engineering. In well-equipped workshops and laboratories, students learn to utilize many kinds of material and to control many forms of power, from the motive force of the 19th century Industrial Revolution to the complex reactors of the nuclear age. Engineering theory and practice converge in the school drawing offices. A wider range of graphic skill finds expression in the nearby School of Art, at present in temporary buildings on the new site. Here, the main courses of study are painting, sculpture and design, leading to the diploma in fine arts. The house in the school garden is typical of New Zealand domestic architecture in the early 1900s. Today, new houses of adventurous design are adding still more variety to the many individual shapes and colours of Christchurch homes, looking out over the South Pacific at Sumner. Closer to the city on the Canterbury Plains with the Southern Alps beyond, or on the sunlit hillsides of Kashmir and Mount Pleasant. Most of the older houses are solidly built of hardwood and roofed with Mediterranean tiles. Nearly all of them are surrounded by lawns and flower beds. Christchurch is widely known as the Garden City. Newer houses are often built of brick or concrete. Generally, Christchurch homes stand on their own sections or lots, averaging 1/4 of an acre, the accepted pattern of town life since the beginning of settlement in New Zealand. In the growing suburbs, stone or concrete blocks and other permanent materials are now being used in the construction of most family homes. All suburbs have their own shopping areas and other facilities. Nearby, there is usually a branch of the Royal New Zealand Society for the Health of Women and Children, known familiarly as the Plunket Society, where mothercraft advice and help are freely given at the clinic or at home. The service is financed partly by government partly by voluntary contributions, and local committees are responsible for the day-to-day work of their own branch of the society. Christchurch kindergartens are run in much the same way, with parents, local authorities and government working together for a common purpose.
And this bunny rabbit's very clever because he can waggle his ears. I don't think you can waggle your ears, can you? No. Can you? No, but this rabbit can. Look at them.
At about 5 years of age, most children enter primary school, where the curriculum, originally based on British lines, has been adapted to the needs and particular circumstances of New Zealand life. Buildings vary in size and style, but a swimming pool and a dental clinic are standard equipment in the typical primary school. The dental nurse, after 2 years of specialist training, is qualified to give treatment and advice on dental care to the pupils of her own school and to their younger brothers and sisters. Each nurse in the service leads the way to dental health for hundreds of children, from preschool to high school. In the Christchurch area, there are 14 state high schools and 10 private secondary schools. Christchurch Girls High and Christchurch Boys High at Riccarton are typical of the older state schools, which provide free education up to the age of 19. Christ's College is an independent school established in the 1850s on the lines of an English public school. The newer state schools, such as Cashmere High, are mainly co-educational. All New Zealand secondary schools have a multi-course structure and are similar to comprehensive schools in Britain. There is no 11 plus or other qualifying examination, and pupils are grouped according to ability and courses within the school. Entry to university is by examination or accrediting at the end of the 4th or 5th secondary school year. Every pupil who passes this examination is offered a place at the university and can look forward to that great day when students become graduates and for the first time wear the academic dress proper to their degrees. Every year, about 400 students graduate from the University of Canterbury, brightening an autumn day with the traditional procession through the streets of Christchurch. First come the graduands in unfamiliar gowns and headgear. Then the staff. More than half of them born in New Zealand, about 40% from Great Britain, Australia and North America, followed by the professorial board, deans of faculties, councillors, guests and officers of the university. At this year's ceremony, the Chancellor confers degrees on 486 graduands from New Zealand, Southeast Asia, Colombo Plan countries and the Pacific Islands. Canterbury graduates who have already earned a distinguished place in our national and international life are honoured by the university at a special ceremony in the hall. Here, the honorary degree of Doctor of Literature is conferred on Miss Nio Marsh, OBE, for her services to literature and the arts in this country and overseas. Miss Marsh has also made outstanding contributions to the cultural life of the university and the community, especially as producer of Shakespearean plays for 22 seasons. The university and Christchurch community participate in other cultural activities and in a variety of clubs and societies. Overseas composers and soloists and metropolitan companies of international reputation in music, drama and the arts frequently visit Christchurch. There are 4 radio stations, a television channel and 2 daily newspapers in the city. All types of sport are played in due season, and in autumn, Capping Week brings some unusual events onto the streets of Christchurch. The students' procession nets about £4,000 for local charities every year. For those who prefer to pilot more graceful craft, there are yacht clubs only 7 miles away, where the Avon River meets the sea. Here too, less than half an hour's drive from the university, is Sumner, one of Christchurch's residential suburbs by the sea. Even in midsummer, the beaches are uncrowded and open to everyone. The only barrier is the roped-off competition area at the annual Surf Lifesaving Championships. Surf clubs patrol many of the ocean beaches around Christchurch all through the holiday season. The long summer months of December, January and February, when most New Zealanders migrate to the beach, the mountains or open country. Take any road from Christchurch and soon you're in a region famed for the unspoiled beauty of its mountains, lakes and native forests. At any time of the year, you can enjoy the unusual experience of climbing on the great glaciers of Canterbury and Westland. In winter, you can ski in the Southern Alps within 70 miles of Christchurch. Wherever you live in Canterbury, mountains are never far away. The landscape in the back country has changed very little since pioneers from Britain first drove their bullock wagons across the province. But the city, founded by the Canterbury Pilgrims just over a century ago, is now the heart and centre of a thriving community, the second largest city in New Zealand. Here, 250,000 people live and work, on the plains and hills, around harbour bays and beaches, and on the shores of the South Pacific Ocean, where children grow up in sunshine, between the mountains and the sea.